By the time the door sealed behind us with that soft, overly polite alien chime, it finally hit me that I was married. Not metaphorically, not spiritually, legally, biologically, and according to subsection 14 of the Galactic Union Marriage Accord. Recklessly. I remember thinking that if every terrible decision in human history had a sound, it would be that door locking. Not because I regretted marrying her. No. Because I knew, deep in the survival-oriented part of my brain, that nothing good ever follows a door that locks itself. She stood there smiling at me, still in the form that had convinced several diplomats, and one judge that I was brave, instead of terminally stupid. Humanoid enough to be comforting, alien enough to be exciting. Elegant posture, faintly glowing eyes, skin that shimmered like it had a private lighting budget. The kind of woman that makes you forget gravity exists until you trip over furniture. Well, she said, voice warm and slightly nervous. This is traditional. I nodded like I knew what that meant. Interplanetary marriages come with a lot of paperwork and very little useful explanation. The translator implant in my ear hummed softly, occasionally swapping romantic phrases with legal disclaimers. At one point it translated, "I adore you," as emotional dependency acknowledged. Real mood killer. She moved closer, and my brain did what human brains do best under pressure: shut down higher reasoning and replace it with optimism and bad jokes. First nights are always awkward. First nights after an interstellar wedding are apparently classified events. I'd signed 3 waivers just to enter the room. One of them specifically mentioned psychological resilience. She hesitated, fingers twisting together. That should have been my first warning. Any being that can bench press a shuttle doesn't fidget unless something is deeply wrong. There is something I should tell you, she said. That sentence has ended civilizations. I smiled anyway. Humans are great at that. We smile at predators, at debt collectors, at customer service bots that have already decided to ruin our day. If this is about cultural differences, I said, I already read the pamphlet. She winced. The pamphlet was simplified. Of course it was. She took a breath. The air shifted, like the room itself was paying attention. On my world, spouses do not fully reveal themselves until after bonding is complete. I tried to keep my voice steady. Emotionally or biologically? Yes. Fair. I could work with that. Probably. I need you not to panic, she added quickly, which statistically guaranteed I would. I won't, I lied confidently. Her smile softened, affectionate, apologetic. I may have forgotten to reset one small setting. That's when I noticed the lights dimming slightly, responding not to any switch but to her heartbeat. The temperature ticked up. The air felt thicker, heavier, like the room was bracing itself. What setting? I asked, still smiling, because humans are nothing if not stubbornly polite in the face of impending doom. She glanced at the ceiling, then back at me. Intimidation mode. I laughed. A short, nervous sound. That's funny. You're funny. She didn't laugh back. Before I could ask another question, she straightened, and the change was immediate. Not violent. Not flashy. Just undeniable. Her presence expanded, not in size at first, but in weight. The kind of authority that makes your spine line up without permission. Her eyes glowed brighter. Her posture shifted from loving partner to apex entity who could end arguments by blinking. Oh, she said, voice resonant now, layered, echoing slightly. That is higher than intended. Every survival instinct I had screamed, but my mouth decided to contribute something else entirely. You look confident? The room lights flared. She gasped, clapping a hand over her mouth. No, do not compliment me right now. I froze. Slowly raised my hands. Okay. No compliments. Noted. She exhaled, and the pressure eased a fraction. I am so sorry. This usually does not happen. Weddings cause hormonal spikes, emotional surges, power calibration errors. I nodded because humans nod when they don't understand but very much want to stay alive. Totally normal. Happens to us too. Sometimes people cry. Sometimes they punch cake. Her eyes softened again, but the glow didn't fade. You are handling this remarkably well. That's when I realized something important. This wasn't a test of strength, or courage, or even love. This was a test of whether a human could survive the night without saying the wrong thing. And statistically speaking, we are terrible at that. The transformation didn't explode outward like a horror show. It unfolded. Her silhouette stretched first, lines of light tracing along her limbs like someone highlighting a diagram meant for gods, not doctors. The shimmer in her skin deepened, resolving into layered textures, smooth plates interlocking with softer bioluminescent patterns that pulsed with her breathing. She was still her. And also unmistakably not built for human-sized furniture. I am still me, she said quickly, voice calm but heavy enough to make the bed frame creak in sympathy. Please continue breathing. That felt like a reasonable request. I swallowed. Doing great so far. Her true form finished settling into place, and the room adjusted around her as if the architecture had been designed with a panic clause. The lights dimmed to something dramatic and unearned. The walls hummed. My translator implant helpfully labeled the situation as non-hostile dominance display, which did nothing for my pulse. She looked down at herself, then at me, then winced. Oh no. Those words again. What? I asked. I definitely left intimidation mode active, she said, apologetic, mortified, terrifying. I meant to switch to gentler settings. As if summoned by the word, something clicked. Her posture changed, shoulders squaring, chin lifting with imperial certainty. The glow intensified. I felt smaller, not physically, but in the way you feel when a customer service manager walks over and already knows you're wrong. Royal mode engaged, she announced, not to me but to the universe. Consort approach. I stared at her. Consort? She blinked, eyes refocusing. Oh stars, no, sorry. Her hands fluttered. Wrong one. I don't know why it's defaulting to that. The glow flickered. Her voice shifted again, sharper now, alert. Perimeter secure, she said, scanning the room. Threat assessment ongoing. I raised a finger. I'm not a threat. She paused, then frowned. You are statistically improbable. Fair. She shook herself, literally, like a very dangerous cat trying to reset its fur. Okay. Okay. I just need to toggle through until, Her shoulders relaxed. The glow softened to a warm hue. Her expression turned openly appreciative, eyes roaming me with an intensity that made my brain briefly forget fear and substitute panic of a different flavor. Mating mode, she said, pleased. That's better. The bed hummed. Nope, I said immediately. Nope, nope, nope. She tilted her head. Is this not appropriate? You smell agreeable. That's deodorant, I said. And contextually we should maybe not. Understood. She cut in, embarrassed again. The glow spasmed. Switching. Her posture snapped upright, hands folding neatly. The room lighting shifted to neutral. She smiled with professional warmth. Diplomatic mode. Greetings, valued partner. I look forward to productive cooperation. I stared. She stared back. Somewhere, the bed stopped humming, offended. This feels worse, I said. She groaned, covering her face with claws that could absolutely void a warranty. I swear I am usually much better at this. Weddings scramble my systems. Too many emotional inputs. I tried to laugh. It came out a little hysterical. You're doing great. The lights brightened sharply. I said no compliments. She snapped, then immediately looked horrified. I didn't mean to snap. That was intimidation feedback. The glow surged again, pressing against my chest like gravity had opinions. I focused on breathing, on the absurdity of it all. Humans had crossed oceans, climbed mountains, invented customer loyalty programs. I could survive my wife accidentally going into boss fight mode. Okay. I said slowly, carefully, like speaking to a genius computer with anger issues. Let's troubleshoot. What triggers the modes? She closed her eyes, focusing inward. Tone. Intent. Emotional implication. Subtext. Of course it's subtext, I muttered. She opened her eyes. You are thinking something self-deprecating. Always. The glow softened a fraction. That helps. I nodded, filing that away. Self-loathing safe. Compliments lethal. Romance, potentially hazardous to furniture. I should explain, she said, finally steadying. My species evolved these modes for survival. Royal for leadership. Combat for defense. Diplomatic for negotiation. Mating for bonding. And intimidation? I asked. She winced. For discouraging hostile species. Am I a hostile species? She looked at me, really looked, her glow dimming to something personal. No. You are just very human. I snorted despite myself. The room didn't react. Encouraging. Good, I said. Because I'm not sure my insurance covers discouragement. She laughed then, a genuine sound, layered and strange and beautiful. The glow settled. For the first time since the transformation, the room felt like a room again. I promise, she said softly. I will not let the wrong mode hurt you. I believed her. Mostly. What worried me was whether I could survive the night without accidentally flirting my way into planetary subjugation. I learned very quickly that silence was dangerous. I wasn't even trying to be mysterious. I was thinking. Humans think. Unfortunately, on her world, thinking quietly apparently registered as strategic evaluation, which caused her glow to spike and her posture to sharpen like she was about to negotiate a ceasefire with my internal organs. Diplomatic mode escalating, she said calmly. I was just processing, I said, waving my hands. Human thing. Brain buffering. Oh. She relaxed slightly. You should vocalize your buffering. Otherwise my systems assume intent. Right. I will narrate my confusion. That seemed to help. For about 6 seconds. She shifted her weight, and something clicked again. Her shoulders rolled back, chin lifting, presence expanding like a throne manifesting out of confidence alone. Royal mode re-engaged, she announced. Kneel. I blinked. Is that optional? She frowned, then gasped. No, sorry. Her hands flew up. That was posture-based. My spine alignment triggers authority protocols. I stared at her spine. Your spine has opinions. It was engineered by a committee, she said bitterly. Okay, let me try something else. She softened her stance deliberately, slouching in a way that looked deeply unnatural for someone who could probably intimidate a moon. The glow dimmed. Her voice warmed. Her eyes focused on me with open interest. Mating mode, she said, clearly trying to sound casual and failing. How do you feel about direct honesty? The bed hummed again. I pointed at it. That thing is a snitch. She flushed, actually flushed, bioluminescence blooming in patterns that made my brain forget language. I find you extremely appealing, she said too smoothly. Your survival instincts, your defiance of probability, your bone density. My bone density? Yes, she said earnestly. Very resilient. Excellent for. Nope, I said, holding up both hands. Dial it back. Little less assessment. She hesitated. But this mode encourages transparency. That's great, I said. But humans prefer transparency with a filter. Like emotional sunglasses. She considered that. The glow wavered. Switching. Her posture snapped into neutral again, hands clasped politely. Diplomatic mode restored. Thank you for your feedback. I groaned. Now you sound like a customer satisfaction survey. She tilted her head. Is that undesirable? It's not sexy. Her eyes widened. The room lights flickered violently. Sexual relevance detected. she said, voice pitching upward. Re-engaging mating. No, I said quickly. No, no, no. That was descriptive. Not a request. She froze, systems visibly stuttering. Her glow pulsed erratically through 3 colors I didn't have names for. This is difficult, she admitted. Your language is inefficient. One phrase contains multiple emotional payloads. Welcome to Earth, I said. We weaponized subtext centuries ago. She laughed, then immediately clapped a hand over her mouth. Sorry, laughter increases bonding hormones. The bed hummed louder, like it was taking notes. I paced, careful not to make sudden movements. Okay. New plan. We stop trying to manage the modes. We just talk. That is statistically risky, she said. I know, I replied. Humans specialize in statistically risky communication. She studied me, glow settling into a cautious amber. Speak then. I took a breath. I'm nervous. You're incredible. And terrifying. And beautiful. And I am constantly one sentence away from triggering either a mating ritual or a declaration of war. Her glow softened. I don't know the rules, I continued. I don't know which tone makes you feel loved and which one makes you feel like conquering a sector. But I married you anyway. Because humans don't wait until they understand everything. We just commit and adapt. Something changed. Not a switch this time. No click. No announcement. Her posture eased naturally, not forced. The glow dimmed to a steady, gentle light. My systems are quiet, she said slowly. That is unusual. I smiled carefully. Nothing exploded. Encouraging. You are not trying to control me, she said. You are not afraid of me. You are simply present. Yeah, I said. That's kind of our thing. She stepped closer. The bed did not hum. Progress. I was warned humans were emotionally dangerous, she murmured. I did not understand why. I shrugged. We get that a lot. For the first time all night, she didn't feel like a collection of modes. She felt like my wife. Still alien. Still powerful. But steady. Which was great. Because now I just had to survive whatever happened when the systems decided to reboot on their own. The quiet didn't feel fragile. That surprised me. I'd been bracing for another surge, another glow spike, another announcement that I'd accidentally triggered planetary annexation by breathing wrong. Instead, she stood there in her true form, steady and unguarded, like she'd finally stopped holding herself up with systems and started trusting gravity. I think, she said slowly, the modes shut down. That sounds good, I replied. I like when nothing announces itself. She smiled, really smiled this time, not royal, not diplomatic, just her. The room stayed mercifully unchanged. No humming. No flickering. I relaxed muscles I didn't know I'd been clenching since childhood. I was trained to believe control was everything, she said. That without structure, without presets, I would be dangerous. I shrugged. Humans don't really do presets. We just kind of improvise until something works or explodes. She tilted her head. You improvise marriage? Constantly, I said. It's mostly apologizing and figuring out what not to say next time. She laughed again, softer now. The glow warmed, not brighter, just comfortable. That explains your confidence. Oh, I am not confident, I corrected. I am committed. There's a difference. She stepped closer, close enough that I could feel the heat of her skin, the faint vibration beneath it like a purring engine. My brain tried very hard to panic again and failed. Instead, something steadier took over. Stubbornness, maybe? Or that deeply human belief that if you show up honestly, the universe sometimes meets you halfway. I was afraid you would reject my true form, she admitted. Many would. I looked at her, all of her, the parts no brochure prepared me for. You showed me who you are. That's kind of the point of marrying someone. Her glow flickered, then settled. On my world, mates are chosen for compatibility of function. On my, I said, we pick someone who sees us at our worst and doesn't immediately file a complaint. She laughed harder at that, a full-bodied sound that made the walls vibrate in a friendly way. You did file several complaints. Constructive feedback, I said. Big difference. She reached out, hesitated, then touched my hand with careful intent. Nothing reacted. No systems. No modes. Just contact. Her fingers were warm, textured, real. This is peaceful, she said, almost confused. No protocols. No roles. Yeah, I said quietly. It's just us. She studied me, eyes bright with something unguarded. Humans are frightening in a very specific way. I raised an eyebrow. Please tell me it's not existential threat. No, she said. You do not dominate. You do not submit. You endure. You stay. You speak truth even when it destabilizes the system. I smiled. We break things by accident all the time. She squeezed my hand. You broke mine in the best way. The room felt warmer then, not from any biological response but from shared breath, shared space. Whatever the night would become, it would be negotiated moment by moment, not dictated by presets or manuals. She leaned in, forehead resting gently against mine. I should apologize, she murmured, for the intimidation. The modes. The chaos. I shook my head. Hey! I married an alien. Chaos was implied. She chuckled. You are not disappointed? Honestly? I said. I've had worse first nights with people who didn't glow. Her laughter echoed, rich and genuine. Somewhere in the distance, the marriage manual probably burst into flames, offended by the sheer lack of compliance. She straightened, confidence no longer imposed but earned. Then let us begin our life together, she said. Without presets. I nodded. Deal. But if anything starts humming again, we're blaming the bed. She smiled, eyes soft, glow steady. And for the first time since the door locked, I knew something important. I wasn't surviving the night because I was strong. I was surviving because I was human.